Further request for 1 minute. Under the Speaker's announced policy of January 3, 2013, the gentleman from California, Mr. Garamendi, is recognized for 60 minutes as the designee of the Minority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. October the 8th. October the 8th. We're now 8 days into the shutdown of the government of the United States of America, presumed to be the strongest nation on this earth, presumed to be the greatest economic power, presumed to be the world's oldest democracy. Perhaps oldest, but not functioning. Why? Why are we in this situation? 8 days without a functioning government. What in the world is the Republican Party doing to this nation? And why? Why? It's hard to say why, because every day the goalpost changes. Every day a different demand, and today yet a new demand. But what's the result of all of this? What does all of this mean? It means that this nation is humiliated by this shutdown. Speaker Boehner, let your people go. Speaker Boehner, let your people go and vote. Why not? We think there's a majority. Let's see here. There's 198 Democrats that will vote for the reopening of this government tonight. Call us back into session, Mr. Boehner. 198 Democrats. And by the public record, there are 23 or more Republicans that have said they'd vote for a clean CR. Mr. Speaker, let your people go and vote. What does it mean that the government's shut down? What does it mean to Americans? I'll tell you what it means in my district. It means that the daycare centers, the early childhood education programs, the levee improvements, and indeed even today we've learned that the burials of those brave men and women, men in this case, that have recently been killed in the war in Afghanistan, their families will not receive the $100,000 that's been set aside for them. Oh, I know. We have a vote here. This is the 8th day of the shutdown. And we have, in this House, passed 8 bills to appropriate pieces of this government. These are the 12 appropriation bills. These are the 12 appropriation bills that fund every function of government, whether it's the military, whether it's the farm programs, the daycare programs, the health care programs, the Center for Disease Control. Here they are. More than 1,000 specific items. And in 8 days, our Republican colleagues have put before us 8 bills to fund 8 of the more than 1,000. At this rate, it'll be 2020 before this government fully is functional. How foolish, how stupid, how humiliating for this nation. Mr. Speaker, let your people vote. Let us vote. Let us vote on reopening this government. The votes are there. A simple blackboard will tell you the votes are there. Tonight, Call us back to session. And tomorrow morning, the people of America, the people across this world will see the strongest nation in the world, the government of that nation, functioning once again. How do I go back to my district and tell the people at the Dixon National Cemetery that those burials aren't going to take place? How do I go back to my district and tell them, yeah, maybe they ought to see this? In California, Northern California, it's hunting season. Opened on Saturday. But the refuges across this great nation are closed to hunters, the duck hunters, the men and women that want to recreate in those areas. And if you're not a hunter, maybe you're a fisherman. But don't go to a refuge. Don't go to the Bureau of Land Management fishing areas. Don't try to put your boat in the water at the national parks. You can't do it because this government's shut down. Mr. Speaker, let your people vote. Let us all vote. Let us reopen this government. We have several of my colleagues with me tonight. We're going to cover this issue. How much I would prefer to be here with my colleagues from New York and other states to talk about putting Americans back to work. And I guess we are, in a way, putting the federal employees back to work. Mr. Paul Tonko from the great state of New York, thanks for joining us once again.
My pleasure. I appreciate the gentleman from California bringing us together tonight and